If you currently have 5,000 saved in the bank, there are a few things you need to do with this money to extract the maximum value from it. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Have you ever imagined what it would be like if your salary came with an instruction manual? Something like, if you want to burn your money, go this way. If you want to multiply it, follow that path. It would be much easier, right? Especially nowadays when simply saving money no longer has the same impact it had 10, 20, or 30 years ago. That's why it's more important than ever to know how to use your money intelligently. The first thing you need to understand is the role of saving money. And I'll warn you right away, it will not make you rich. Contrary to what you've been told your whole life, saving money alone is no longer the path to building wealth. And why is that? Because the value of savings is constantly being eroded by inflation. But that doesn't mean you should stop saving. It means you need to save the right way. Today, the purpose of your cash reserve is not to make you rich. It's to protect you. It works as a shield against financial emergencies. At a minimum, you should have 2,000 saved in a high liquidity account. This covers basic situations. Your car breaks down, a window shatters, or your refrigerator stops working. You need to handle these issues without relying on credit cards or falling into debt. That alone already avoids a lot of stress. After those first 2,000, your second goal is to save the equivalent of 3 to 12 months of your monthly living expenses. No less and no more than that. The ideal range depends on your risk tolerance. If you're more aggressive and comfortable with risk, 3 to 6 months may be enough. If you're more conservative and value security, 12 months is better. For example, if your monthly cost of living, including rent, food, bills, and transportation, is 3,000, then you need at least 9,000 saved and at most 36,000. This money must be available, but untouchable. Only use it in real emergencies, and no, a Nike sale is not an emergency. Is Beyond emergencies, there are only two other valid reasons to save money. The first is for a large purchase, such as a down payment on a house or a car. The second is for investments, like buying a property, stocks, or another opportunity you're still researching. Outside of these reasons, it doesn't make sense to keep piling up cash just for the sake of it, because inflation keeps eating away at its value every single day. So, if you really want to build wealth, you need to save money the right way. And as a final point, consider putting that money into a digital bank or an online account that pays higher interest. Many digital banks offer better returns because they have lower operating costs and can pass those gains on to customers through better rates. Over the long term, this can make a huge difference. For example, Nubank offers savings boxes that yield 100% of the CDI, while PicPay automatically pays 102% of the CDI. So if you leave 5,000 raised there, after 1 year it could turn into around 5,600 raised without you having to do anything. The second thing you should consider, now that you have money saved in the bank, is using part of it to pay off your debts. I've always found it strange when someone has a good amount of money in their account, but continues to pay credit card interest every month. When you really analyze it, money sitting in a digital account might earn around 12% per year after taxes, depending on the Selic rate and whether the bank pays 100% of the CDI. On the other hand, debts like credit cards, car loans, student loans, or even mortgages can charge interest rates ranging from 30% to 140% per year. In other words, while your money is earning 12% per year in the bank, you may be losing 40%, 60%, or even more by paying interest to others. That's why, if you already have an emergency fund, it makes much more sense to use extra money to eliminate these debts instead of leaving it parked earning very little. The best part is that paying off high-interest debt guarantees a real and immediate return. Unlike investments that can go up or down, paying off a debt offers a certain return that can easily be 40%, 50%, or more, depending on the interest rate you eliminate. It's ironic that many people say there is no investment that pays 20% per year. Yet these same people are paying 40% or 60% per year on credit card debt, feeding bank profits. Meanwhile, they keep money idle in accounts that earn very little. This kind of behavior is exactly what makes banks richer over time. So if you have savings and still carry high interest debt, your priority should be to eliminate those debts, especially credit cards, overdrafts, and personal loans. If your debts have low interest rates, such as subsidized student loans, paying them off quickly may not be as urgent. Depending on your profile, it might make more sense to invest that money, even taking on some risk, because the potential return could be higher than the interest you're paying. However, if you're risk averse, paying off the debt is still an excellent option. Paying off a 12% annual loan early is equivalent to earning a guaranteed 12% return with no risk. To avoid falling into these traps again, it's essential to adopt a new principle. Stop financing unnecessary things. Buying what you don't need with money you don't have is one of the main reasons people stay in debt. If something doesn't bring a financial return, it shouldn't be financed. The money you don't pay in interest is money that stays in your pocket. The only possible exception might be your own home, but even that deserves careful analysis. And if you already have money saved, use it wisely, eliminate debts, and protect your future. And remember, the money you don't pay in interest is money that stays in your pocket, right? These are the first two things you need to do when you have money saved in the bank. But for those who made it this far, I'll talk about 3 bonus steps you can take to make even better use of your money. Third step, put your money to work. The idea of letting money work for you may sound like coach talk, but it is one of the most real and powerful foundations of finance. What you need to understand is that idle money does not generate freedom, and freedom is what we're ultimately seeking. If you leave the same 5,000 in an account that yields 100% of the CDI, in 1 year you'll have around 5,600, as we've already seen. Nice, but it's still little. Now, if you use part of that to start investing in assets that grow above inflation and have the potential to multiply your wealth, that's much better. And this is where real investments come in. Stocks, real estate funds, ETFs, Bitcoin, and even equipment and machines depending on your risk profile. But where do you start? If you're just beginning, the best way to enter this world without getting lost is to follow these 3 steps. First, open an account with a reliable brokerage. There are several with zero fees and good support structures for beginners. Second, study the basics of each type of asset. Understand what a stock is, what a real estate fund is, how ETFs work, or how the market you're entering operates. Nothing complicated. 15 to 30 minutes a day already puts you ahead of 90% of the population. And third, start small, but start now. You can buy a fractional stock with less than 10 REIs. Invest in a real estate fund with 100 REIs. The important thing is to build the habit. For example, stocks of good companies pay dividends every year and can also appreciate over time. Real estate funds pay monthly income. ETFs replicate indexes like Ibovespa or the S&P 500 and give you diversified exposure even with little money. Bitcoin can serve as a store of value against currency devaluation with huge long-term appreciation potential. But pay attention. This requires emotional resilience and a long-term mindset. The key here is to invest consistently, not in a rush. Yes, because saving and investing the 5,000 you have now is a great start, but it will not make you financially free. In fact, you are still very far from that. What will truly set you free is turning this into a continuous process. You need to look for ways to increase your income and your monthly contributions. For example, you can start a side hustle or extra job in your free time, even if it's something simple like selling something online, giving classes, providing a service, or working with content. You can also improve your professional qualifications. The more you know and the more problems you solve, the more value you deliver. And the more value you deliver, the more you can charge. Another option is to negotiate your salary better or move into more profitable fields. Many times you earn little not because of a lack of effort, but because you are in the wrong market. And most importantly, reinvest all the money that comes into your hands and is not needed in the short term. Because the magic of compound interest only happens when you reinvest your money. Fifth and final step, protect what you have built. Many people start well, accumulate some money, but later lose everything due to impulsive decisions. Therefore, never forget, avoid trends and fads. If someone promises you 10% per month with guaranteed returns, run because it is probably a scam. Well, I finally finished this. It really took a lot of work to do, so at least leave a like, and if you stayed until the end, comment on the way to 1,000 subscribers. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to change the way you deal with money in practice and learn the best method for financial freedom, the ebook link is in the description with a 60% discount for a limited time. I'll leave it here and see you next time.